Perfect.
Okay, I think you're all set.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming and being a part of our little impromptu or prompted meeting. I want to thank Kent for making sure that we're always included in a possibility for solutions for the students that you work with every day. Kent has asked me to kind of really touch on our Inclusion 2.0. It's something that we strongly believe here at Don Johnston is an important piece to help you all be successful in working with your districts. We're also going to talk a little bit about uPAR, and we're going to talk a little bit about Snap&Read and Co-Writer Universal. I know a lot of you have been longtime supporters of Don Johnston, and so much is ever-changing here. So it's important that we, as a company, make sure you guys know what's going on and all the exciting, fun things. I'm just going to go ahead and, again, forgive me if there are technical issues for as I've done my dance, but, there's only so much I can do. But as we move forward, like I said, it's our company's vision to really move towards that inclusion model. Back in the day, it was just about having all of our kiddos spend time in that general classroom, gen ed classroom, and it's a great place for them to be until we really begin to start failing. It is going to be where we might not necessarily see as quickly that a student is failing or falling behind, especially now with these new state standards that are asked of our students. Many times when we're in that general classroom, we're going to start struggling differently, and really is what we're calling that Inclusion 2.0. We are asking that, with these changes, that we really start thinking past that one student at a time. It's really about having them be successful in that gen ed classroom. As I mentioned, way back in the day, it was really about how, we had to fail not once, not twice, but several times, really before we were, sent off to be evaluated or to be assessed to see where that failure might be coming in. Is it reading? Is it writing? Where is that struggle? But, with those personalized accommodations, we really can help that student become more independent long before they again start showing that failure or that struggle in the classroom. It's very important these days. I know Utah is no different than the state of Illinois or any of the other states. It's all about data. It's about having solid proof that yes, an accommodation is going to help a student. Yes, they are using it. It's not about just literally, checking that box, saying that they have it and moving forward. It's really about making those data-informed decisions. I will send a follow-up email that includes this Inclusion 2.0 poster that we have, but it was actually one thing that's always stuck out in my head was research that was done back in 2003. Helwig and Tyndale showed that it was no better than a flip of a coin that a teacher had to determine what accommodation would best help their student. That puts so much pressure on teachers. It puts so much pressure on you to just make a best guess. And data is really going to provide you with the most solid rock information and proof. As we talk about all of our different students, we can look at them collectively as a group and again have no better chance of a guess to determine what accommodation would best help them. We need to start thinking past where it is just that one student who might get to grade level. What about those students who might actually, have no benefit, who might need a reading intervention? What about our students who could exceed grade level and get into advanced placement classes? You know, I always like to talk about those kiddos because they're never going to be on our radar. But how powerful and how successful they will feel if it is with just an accommodation that they could get past grade level and beyond. You know, it's all about having our confidence in our students to be successful. So we're going to talk a little bit about uPAR. Protocol for Accommodations is what we've been, I believe there's over 7,000 downloads. Protocol for Accommodation was a free assessment piece that we had available for download. And, you know, this is where we could, at one student at a time, get that data that showed what accommodation would best help that student. You know, with this assessment and through that process, it allowed us to determine, is our student going to be most successful with just an independent silent reading? Is it going to be an adult reader or a text reader that's going to best help our students? The beauty part of having uPAR available to us now is we hold the ability to get more students and reach more students. It's important to think outside the box. You know, think about the students, as I said, that are in regular gen ed classes. It's so important to have everyone, you know, be included in that assessment. So it's maybe our English language learners, maybe our regular gen ed kids. It's about taking that time to get everybody assessed to see where they're at. That is the nice part about uPAR. We can, the time it would have taken us to do that assessment, on average, the paper piece would be around 45 minutes. The variables consist of, is it a good technology day? Is it a good, are you having a good day? Are they having a good day? So very many variables would come into play. With uPAR in that 45 minutes, all you could do is probably your entire school, if not your entire district. All we need to do to get that uPAR up and going is student's name, grade level, and a best guess at a reading level if we don't have it. The nice part with uPAR, as again, we have the ability to, we have the ability to assess more students. Over here in Illinois, we have no issues. Start of third grade, all of our students line up and take a vision test. Need it or not, you're getting in line and you're taking that vision test. We'll do that again in 5th grade, and we'll do that again when you're in 9th grade. That's that whole process we'd like you to get thinking about with the protocol for accommodations in reading. As I said, it's just about the simplicity for you. It's going to check to see what independent grade level they're at, just kind of confirm that for you. It's going to take them through that process of having an adult read a passage online. So again, it's a very apparent professional narration. It is not a text reader, because when they do get to that next step, very apparent text reader. A student will quickly, you know, go through, determine which type of passage their interest best fits them. Then they will do that individual silent read. And of course, they will answer questions on comprehension. Did they understand what they were reading? And as I said, they will then move quickly to that human reader portion. Same thing, questions will be asked and answered. And we'll move through that text reader portion where, as I said, a very apparent text reader. And we'll work towards that comprehension quiz also. But most important, as you are sitting back and all of your students have gone through that, or as they're going through that process, you'll be able to have live data seen as they're completing it. So again, it's about taking that guess out of the work. It's solid data that shows, you know, here is Alicia, and she is an 8th grade student. It tells me so because there's this little person here, and she's reading at a 5th grade level. It's a very comfortable 5th grade level. She's at 75% with her comprehension quiz. Great, awesome. But as she went through this process, you can see that she's, you know, about neck and neck there between an adult reader and a text reader. You know, as we move towards our college and career ready standards, we want to gain that independence. So we might lean them towards that text reader so that they can, again, become independent. This is the most important piece for me because it gives you that snapshot of how all of your students did collectively as a group. So that's uPAR, and it's again about getting us the right accommodation that's going to help our students be successful. It's about determining if it's a text reader or an adult reader or truly a silent read that a student's going to be most successful. And I'm going to go ahead and exit that. When you do, I'm going to hop over here to Educator Dashboard to just kind of give you a closer glimpse as to what you will see. When I am in Educator Dashboard, I have the ability to see the data that a student is using. Our, co-writer, Snap&Read is over here on the right-hand side, but I'm actually going to click on uPAR. And I'm going to go to reports so that I can give you more of a live in action type of an event here. I'm going to hopefully pick the right one because I'm looking and seeing that they've changed everything around for me. Isn't that wonderful? And I, of course, grabbed the wrong one. As we do collectively set up our groups, they're right here on this left-hand side. And it's going to be when I select on a particular group that I'll be able to see my students. So envision this as your schools, your classrooms, your reading groups, however you want to set it up. As I mentioned earlier, this is collectively where I'll see all of my students and how they've done. I do enjoy on this little left-hand side, you'll see the color coding, so that'll help determine, at a quick glance where they fell in the summary or the group selection. And this is collectively all of the different passages that I read and the answers that I did. When we do look at this data,
you have it on your phone, right?
The video's on my phone.
Okay, so what we want to do is probably upload it to
So collectively, as I'm looking at my data, I always think of what we envision a stoplight to be, right? Green means go, yellow means caution, and red means stop. As we can see here, I was very successful with a text reader. I actually exceeded grade level. At this point is when we might determine, okay, let's get Beth a text reader so she can become comfortable. She can become familiar with that text reader. I always kind of chuckle, and as I kind of struggled, they moved things around, but there is actually one result that showed, neck and neck with a human audio or an adult reader. But yet, sometimes, for those of you who know me, I am a very social person. So, of course, I would love to be interacting with an adult reader or human reader. Again, as we try to get our students to become more independent and ready for their college or career, as much as I love having Kent read my text to me and read my test to me, I'm pretty sure at some point Kent's going to want to say, see you later, Beth Kalish, good luck in college, and send me on my way. So it's just something that, again, we want to make sure that we're comfortable using and moving forward, having that success. So that's uPAR. I mean, at this point, Ken, should we open it up to questions, or should I continue on?
No, let's see if anyone has questions about the uPAR. If you can either use your mics or type it in. If you don't have questions, then we'll just move on to the next exciting part of Beth's presentation.
Dun, dun, dun. No, I'm just kidding. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great.
If somebody has one, we can come back to it, I guess.
All right, perfect. So I talk about a text reader versus a human reader. So what I've done is now hopped over to an example that's accessible online. It's the Chrome browser that I'm working in today, and I'm working in my Chrome extensions. The text reader that we have available for our students is Snap&Read Universal. I believe some of us might be familiar with the earlier versions of Snap and Read, and Snap and Read is going to take any text anywhere and read it to our students. So I'll kind of just circle back for those that don't or aren't familiar with Snap and Read. Snap and Read is actually this little discrete toolbar that's over here on my right-hand side. I can tell you that this document is accessible because I can highlight it and select text. So I'm actually just going to select this first sentence here, and I'll show you how it reads.
The time traveler, for so it will be convenient to speak of him, was expounding a recondite matter to us. The time travel.
Oh, geez. So it's taking text that's accessible and reading it to us. On occasion, oh, this is probably too dark. On occasion, we might run across a website that has a flash or an image that's not accessible. And what you may or may not see is that, or hear, is that I'm trying to select this with my mouse, and I cannot. So it's actually through this second icon that I come along, and with my crosshairs, I select whatever text I want to be read to me. When I let it go, it will begin reading for me.
Who was William Shakespeare and why was he so important? Today, you will learn some background on the most famous writer to ever put pen to paper, as well as prepare to begin reading one of his most beloved plays, Romeo and Juliet.
So now these are on both websites that I've shown you. Actually here at Don Johnston, and I believe many school districts are moving to the Drive. So this was just a document that I pulled up on my Drive, and over here at top left it tells me it's a PDF. I actually went and scanned it on my copier, emailed it to me, and lo and behold, it's not actually a true PDF because try as I may, it's not accessible. So the nice part with our students, they will become very comfortable to quickly determine if they can't highlight it. All they have to do is come along, get their crosshairs, select their data. Oh wait, it's gonna, you have to do a good job or else it's gonna, there we go.
How Clifford was born.
Again, I can take anywhere within this document, have it be read to me, select it, highlight it. As I said, that's a PDF, it's an image, but what about a picture? What if we're out on a field trip and we see, I love at every museum there's an informational plaque, and you know, those are things that we take pictures of, and all of a sudden now we get back to school and we have no way to read it to us. All I need to again do, this is a picture from out in historic Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I come along, grab my two crosshairs.
Heritage trait.
Up, and it will read it back to me. When I belong to, I know on our website we have a PDF. You know, again, I'm just showing how quick and easy it is for our students to have access to things. I'm going to talk about it before I do it because it moves so quickly. If I have a PDF that's out here on a website and I need it to be read to me, all I have to do is select it, and it's going to open it in its own secure browser quickly. There's no converting, there's no waiting to see if it'll ever get to me. I'm going to select it. And again, it's not going anywhere else. It's just staying right here. And either one, I know this one's accessible. I can come along and have it be spoke to me.
Writing accommodations, universal screenings, writing fluency.
So I'm hopeful I've done a good job of showing you exactly how Snap and Read will take any document, anytime, anywhere, and read it to our students. I mentioned earlier with Inclusion 2.0, it's about getting our students what they need to be successful. Our state standards, all of our standards are raising that bar and that expectation for our students. It's important that we understand not only having it be read to us, but understanding what's being read to us. I'm going to point out a couple things in the first two sentences. On a good day, if it's Monday and I haven't had enough coffee, I'm going to get stuck on the word expounding, possibly recondite, and quite honestly, I'm going to get stuck on the word flushed. Again, these words pointed out in these first two sentences, flushed has several different meanings to it. Flushed could mean, you know, I'm going to Vegas and I'm going to want to have a flush hand when I'm playing blackjack. I could be, you know, a little embarrassed by the things I've said today in the office and I might be reddish pink. I could also be telling my smallest child to make sure they flush the toilet when they're done. Again, there's multiple meanings to these words. expounding and recondite are they're just too hard. For me, on a morning without enough coffee, it's just truth be told. The third icon here on the right-hand side is going to help me be successful, as once I select it, it has now changed the complexity of that text. The words that are changed for our students are again discreetly done by being italicized. I'm going to go ahead and hover over the first word, and I'm hopeful you see it, but it is kind of small. Again, we're trying to be discreet, but expounding actually is the original word, and explaining is what that complexity has been changed to a word I understand. I said explaining. I know recondite now means unknown. And again, I pointed out the word flushed, and it means reddish pink. That's so important that not only did we not minimize the sentence, but it was so important that we looked at how that word was used and used the appropriate definition. In the event I was to use flush the toilet, I would be very embarrassed. I would be very reddish pink if that was to be what I mentioned to other classmates. Even once my complexity has been changed, I can still hear it be read to me.
The time traveler, for so it will be convenient to speak of him, was explaining unknown matter to us. His gray eyes shone and twinkled, and his usually pale face was reddish pink and full of life moving.
What if for some chance English was not my first language? You know, again, we can change the complexity of text, but if English is not going to be a language that if English is still a language I'm learning, I still might struggle on some of these words. What I can actually do, again, I'm in my extension, I can right click on Snap and Read, and I can go over to options. And it's over here, of course, we want to be able to change our preferences for our students. If we like a different voice, different highlighting colors, all of those things can be done over here. But it's down here at the bottom where it says English. If English was not my first language, I have over 90 different languages I can choose from. I much prefer French, and I much prefer Emile, for she is a little sassy just like me. When I come back over here to the time traveler, now you will see this fourth icon. What I can do now is come across or come back to those words that are italicized. I can select it a fourth time, or third time. And now it will actually change these words back to my native language. So it'll change it to French. Now I'm going to absolutely have a grasp of what those words are. Again, I can have it be read back to me at anywhere in my sentence.
And the soft radiance of the incandescent lights in the...
It helps if I pick the right spot.
usually pale face was and full of life.
I think it's important to also point out at any point in time that we would like to have an entire sentence, an entire paragraph, an entire document. We can change the complexity of that entire document. We can even change the vocabulary to be back to our native language in that entire document. It's just about how much information we want to have that be changed for our students. At the point that our students still do need that assistance of, organizing our thoughts. I'm fresh out of high school. Insert chuckle here, Kent, because I'm not. What if I do need a little bit of assistance with organizing my thoughts? Down here at the right-hand side, this is where I have existing outlines. We help our students, again, gather some thoughts. I have my cells and biology worksheet due. Again, I just kind of started this over here. It's just a document that I have. I can have that text be read to me on the left or the right.
Before you begin reading, take a piece of paper and write cells across the top.
If I need to have something be read to me on the right-hand side, absolutely.
Vocabulary words, docs.google.com 2016.
Well, when you ask yourself, what did they just read, docsgoogle.com 2016, we're actually starting and keeping track of where we found our sources. So our students will no longer need to struggle with that bibliographer. It's right there. Oops. So, again, as our students come along and start organizing their thoughts, start moving things over, they're finding information, I always like pointing out vocabulary words are so important. Well, let's just go out to the internet and find some of those words. I think it's so important for our students. My outline followed with me so quickly. I didn't have to go and remember where I was, what I was doing. It follows me as I go along. So let's go find the definition for, here we go, chlorophyll. I can have it be read to me.
Chlorophyll, also chlorophyll, is a term used for several closely related green pigments found in cyanobacteria and the chloroplasts of algae and plants.
Okay. When I find the information I want, I could dig a little deeper into Wikipedia if I needed to, but I'll just, for example's sake, show you. I highlighted my information, and with my fifth icon, my little marker, I can go ahead and just highlight that. Oh, I have co-writer on. I've set that over to my outline. I can organize it just like I need to. I can move it up. I can indent it. I do love that co-writer showed up within the outline because, as we all know, both supports will work together because co-writer, anywhere I can take text is where co-writer is going to work. And that kind of moves me over to co-writer universal. So we all know as we go from reading, it leads to writing, writing leads to reading, and so begins a vicious circle. We need to help our students be successful. Co-writer 7 is an amazing foundation. It is built off of co-writer for many, many years. I believe over 25 now. Anywhere we can take text is still the same preface for co-writer, but co-writer universal is actually the newest member to the family. When I say co-writer universal, that means it's going to work on my Mac, my Windows, my iOS devices, and my Chromebooks. And this is where I get stuck. So your Chromebooks are going to work in your Chrome browser, which is going to have your extension, which is what I'm showing you now. But for those districts or those students who are working in Chromebooks, if you're not hooked up online, then we're not going to be able to use really anything within a Chromebook. So we're going to have our Chrome browser app that will allow our students to continue that writing process. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I need a flow chart and a big piece of paper and some markers to figure all this out.
Hey, Beth, I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Kent.
Hello, Kent.
Okay, so a question I got through an email was,
Okay.
so a student uses this on their Chromebook at school. When they go home and log into their Google account, they can use it there also, correct?
Yes, that is a great question. So some things that have changed with co-writer universal, our students do log in. The best part of that is for, I think, everyone, you set up your preferences once. If I create a dictionary, it's going to follow me as our students move from different computers. So when our students do go home, if they don't have their Chromebook or their computer that they had left it at school, they can actually sign into that Chrome browser, and their extension is going to follow them, as is all of their preferences, as is everything. So yeah, great question.
But then I just heard you say that you can't use these if you don't have a connection to the Wi-Fi, right? Or a data connection.
Actually, you can use both Snap&Read and co-writer regardless if you're hooked up to the internet.
Okay.
So as long as, so I know this is something to consider. Do we have a lot of Chromebooks? Because I don't want to confuse anybody.
We're a heavy Chromebook state, depending on the district.
Okay, so with Chromebooks, if a student, so I'm working in my Chrome browser, so if I have all of my tabs open, I go home, I can still use, oh, here's my Google Doc. So I have my Google Doc open, so I can still use it on my Chrome browser, right? I don't have to be hooked up to the internet. As I type along and I do things, it will save it as long as I don't close it. As soon as I get hooked up to the internet, it's going to save it to the drive. We're going to be golden.
Okay.
For some reason, I'll take a minute to explain it. For some reason, if our students have closed out all of their tabs, so if we'll just pretend for a minute, if all my tabs are gone and I'm not in the Chrome browser anymore, it's actually through the Co-Writer Universal app that I will be allowed to, it'll have that writing piece. Again, we always want to make sure we sign in before we leave school. And I'll just take a minute to show you what this looks like. You know, it's important that our students have a place to write. Again, when we're in a Chromebook, they will have nothing. So this is going to be that little word processing place to put that text. Things to also recognize, we have the ability, if I have a camera on my Chromebook, I can insert a picture. So when we're writing that book report, that would be something that would be valuable. If for some reason my preferences were to be a purple background and a yellow font, when I go back over, oh here, you know what, let's just do it. So if I go to settings and if I preferred a purple background, whatever I do in this environment will follow me elsewhere. So when our students do get back to school, all they need to do is hook it back up to the drive, send it to their teacher, whichever, whatever. So I'm actually going to come back here and look, it's purple. I know so many people do enjoy this because we're no longer tying a student back to a device. So I'm hopeful that many of us familiar with Co-Writer? I got nothing, so I'm going with my basics then. Let's think about our
Co-Writer a lot in Utah for sure. I think most are pretty familiar with it.
I do think so. I think that there are a lot of longtime listeners, big-time fans of Co-Writer. So you know what? I'll just kind of point a few things out. I think I've done a good job explaining how, you know, there's different platforms. The preferences will follow us back to forth. Co-Writer is actually going to work anywhere we can take text. It's not going to necessarily be just in Google Docs. It's going to be over here and in Penzu. We hold the ability to do an instant topic dictionary. So if we were to, you know, again, Co-Writer will help our students as we begin typing those words. It'll predict those 5 most common words. If I want to create a topic dictionary, all I need to do is go to Co-Writer and I do quick topic. I've become a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan. Big into hockey here in Illinois.
Chicago Blackhawks.
I can't imagine why. We've won the Stanley Cup like 3 times in like 6 years. It's incredible. So what I've done is I've created a topic dictionary. We no longer have to cut and paste to create that topic dictionary. It just did it instantly. So I think we have access to over 4 million or something like that. It's crazy. So as I begin typing, they play at the Chicago Stadium. Let's see.
I love the.
So again, as I start typing, it's going to predict those words for me.
The Blackhawks. The Blackhawks. I love the Blackhawks.
It's set in my settings and my preferences for when I hit period, it'll read that whole sentence back to me.
They will play at
They play at the United Center.
the.
So again, as I am just beginning that typing process, it's going to help cut down on keystrokes. It's going to help predict not only the 5 most common words, but those that are specific to my topic I just created.
United Center. The.
So that is something that has become, I don't know how much easier it could be. Cutting and pasting wasn't that hard, but that instant topic dictionary is available to us. When I hop over to my Chrome app, if I need to continue that writing process, all I need to do is come over here to dictionaries. It's already followed me. Yep, I want to make sure I continue writing about it, so it's there. That I think is so helpful for students. We don't have to always keep cutting and pasting. We have to make sure we go back to the same computer. Everything is literally right there for them. Now I'm going to come back over here, and I'm actually going to go back over to options in Co-Writer. It's so very, I'm going to turn off Blackhawks. I always kind of think that Co-Writer is magical. I mean, it's almost like it's psychic. It's predicting your words. It's like it gets in your head and thinks about what you want to write. So you see I have no topic dictionaries on. So again, we should go back to predicting only the 5 most common words, right? I'm going to hop over here to my favorite yarn shop. I am a ginormous lover of knitting and crocheting. One thing you will know about knitters and crocheters, they're like yarn junkies. I mean, you have to have nice things because you put a lot of time into these projects, right? This is just a blog, and it's a place where I can take text, so that's where I'm going to show you. It's just down here in the comments area. Again, one thing to know about me, this is No Makers, and she has the funniest, most beautiful yarn, right? But they have the most creative names to her yarn. She has a little bunny foo-foo. There's Bad Bunny doppelganger sets. There's chocolate covered strawberries. There's bunny butts because you can make a bunny, and then, you know, she has a little yarn to make his tail. You know, these are very specific words, right? This is an example of a momentary dictionary. So I didn't create a topic dictionary. I already kind of showed you that there wasn't one active. But I can come along to this blog and begin typing.
I love.
And I get it again. I said this is No Makers. I typed N-O-M, and look what pulled up.
No Makers.
It is literally keeping these words on this page as a topic to pull from.
No Makers.
When I leave this page, these words will leave or stay here, and they will not follow me. So think about our students who might have a worksheet. Think about our students who might be on a blog. They might be on Facebook. They might be in a email. Co-Writer now holds the ability to have a momentary dictionary, so it snags those words.
And
As soon as I leave there, they will not follow me. Again, N-O-M was what I typed. I love that no matter what shows up. That must be an acronym or some new verbiage when texting. So that is the differences with the dictionary. I'm not sure if you've noticed as I've been typing along, there's a microphone here. This is going to help our students who have in the past, you know, needed that voice to text where, you know, we might need that for many different reasons, but what about our students who get so excited and they have so much to write about, but, you know, we get stuck as soon as we start typing. All I need to do is click on the microphone, and what it's going to do is hear what I say, and it's going to put it into the document. Okay, here we go. Today is a beautiful day. I think we should go home and knit the day away. Period. I don't know about you, but that is so spot on. I have recently been busted voice texting my son. It was so inappropriate. I don't really feel telling anybody what it actually said. All I can tell you is if you're over the age of 30, you got a good shot I can send it to you, but it was so not at all what it was supposed to be. So as we often, you know, struggle with that voice to text, Co-Writer is amazing. I still have yet to see it mess up a word. Any point in time, let's just assume that we have messed up a word. All I need to do is put Co-Writer in the middle, so now we can go and begin that editing process.
Beautiful.
Once I select it, I hear it, I select it, it'll insert it.
Beautiful.
And we're off and running. So, you know, I kind of started way in the beginning about how we were all data driven. This is where I will show you more about, you know, we showed this is uPAR, this is where it is going to be the result that a text reader is going to be, but what about if a text reader is necessary, or what about co-writer? We always want to make sure that our students are using them. I'll just hop over here to co-writer, and I'm going to go over to reports. Again, collectively, all of our names are to the left. I can go, I will pick on Bob Keller and select any student. I can see that he has written 3,000 words. He's done it in 6 days. Our standards have expectations that our students use academic, transition, and important words. Any point in time, I can go and I can select more. I will never see, nor will you ever see, what a student is ever writing, but we have it set up in some magical way that when these words are used, a little trigger and it's caught. We can make sure that our students are using these words, and when we kind of scroll over here, wow, I'm just a hot mess today. When I scroll over here and I see words not used, this might be an opportunity to review these and say, you know, Bob, we would love it if we included these academic vocabulary words the next time we do our writing piece of material. I can come back over here to, we saw uPAR results data, we saw co-writer data. Now we can actually go over to Snap&Read. Again, I'm just clicking reports. And we can see how our students are using, and you know, again, it was my best accommodation would be a text reader, so we want to make sure I'm reading and using it. So you can tell that I've read over 200,000 words, and I've done that in 8 days. You'll never see again what words I've read, but you'll see on average what grade level I'm at. So I'm not really sure how this is showing up, but you can see my darkest, where I hover most is at 7th grade. And I'll actually, I'm venturing up and trying 8th, 9th, and even higher level text in the 12th grade plus. So I'm taking those chances, and with that ability to change the complexity, I'm becoming more of a comfortable reader. So that is where I leave you. Again, we talked about a lot of things. We've talked about uPAR, about determining the best accommodation. You know, is it a text reader, human reader? We have the data to support that for you and for our students. Snap&Read Universal is going to be our text reader that is going to take any text anywhere, read it to our students, change the complexity, which is so important because now we're expanding our reading basis and we have a better understanding. We can also change that back to our native language and further understand what we're reading. We have an outline for our students that need it, and you know, again, sometimes it's just about organizing. Co-Writer Universal is our writing support, which is not only going to allow our students anywhere we can put text use co-writer, but with the ability of an instant and a momentary topic dictionary, we're allowing our students to increase their academic vocabulary, which is again so important. Most important for all of you, we have the data, we have the ability to show that our students are using these supports. It is what they need and they're using it. So again, this is Beth Kalish. I'm your outside educational support specialist for the state of Utah. Kent, thank you so much for taking me here as part of your day today.
Too much.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
You're welcome.
Any questions out there by anyone? Trying to think if I have any questions, but I've seen your presentation a couple times.
I think you've answered it. I think you've asked all the hard questions. Things that I don't know if I pointed out strong enough. Everything works offline. That's always a key because I know sometimes even here, you know, you get in the wrong zone and you have no internet. So that's important. Our students don't have to worry about that anymore. We have the data. I'm trying to think what else. Jody Lynn, I see your question. How much do licenses run for co-writers? So that's a great question, and we have 3 different options. We have a seat that's available for students. We have an unlimited site license, which allows students, any and all students in that school access at school and at home, and then we have district-wide pricing. So when you're ready, let's talk about that because there, you know, again, there's many different variables and in the setup and layout of how you guys need those different licenses. Great question. Well, great. Well, I hope everybody knows how to get a hold of me. On our website, I'm going to point out two things before I send you on your way. If you need to find me, just again on our website, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more for dramatic effect. On that left-hand side, it's going to say Find Your State Representative. Once you click on that, it's going to give you a list of states. That's Linda Honing. She's my partner in crime also. And if you scroll down all the way to Utah, it's alphabetical. There I am. So just reach out, email me. I know I covered so many different things today. So up top where it says co-writer and Snap&Read and even uPAR, I just selected Snap&Read, but if you come down here, there are short little videos that showed you everything I talked about today. There's even I think it's a 4 or 5 minute little video that'll kind of just give you a shorter version of what we talked about.
Hey Beth, Deborah's asking if you have picture dictionaries for coding.
No, we don't have picture dictionaries. Picture dictionaries for when you use the changing of the text complexity and Snap&Read.
Or maybe in co-writer.
So picture dictionaries, actually we've kind of taken that up a different step. When we change the complexity of that text, it's important that we make sure, and that's why I love pointing out the word flushed, because if we had a picture dictionary, we would not necessarily, I love that word because it has so many different meanings. If I put a picture dictionary up there of a toilet, so not the right one. So again, we're going to look at that complexity and we're just going to take it and change it appropriately. Great question, Deborah.
So, and I'll also add, for Co-Writer Universal, there is a app for the iPad for that, correct?
There is, and the best part with Co-Writer Universal, you no longer have to pay. We have two versions. So we have Co-Writer Universal on the iPad, and then we at Don Johnston World, we call it Co-Writer the consumer version. So there's the $19.99 app, but when you're in that Co-Writer Universal subscription, then you no longer need to pay for that app, and that's how your settings follow you, your dictionaries, your preferences. So yeah, all those different platforms are followed with Co-Writer. Awesome. Anybody else have any other questions? Feel free to reach out to me or to Sarah. Who else isn't Sarah? Linda was also out there. Any questions you might have, follow up, reach out, ask them. Kent, thank you again for letting me spend time with you. As always, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Could I ask you one other question?
I suppose.
About some codes for them to try this out.
Sure.
I could send out a code. We got that at the last training. I wonder if you could explain what their code will give them access to.
Oh, great question. So yes, as part of the hanging out and being cool with us, we are going to give you access to both Snap&Read and Co-Writer Universal. What you will need to do, and what I encourage you to do, is actually work in the extensions on your Chrome browser. I'm going to come down here. This is Snap&Read Universal. This is where you have all the short little videos. But it's down here where it says Download Snap&Read Universal. I'm going to select that. And all you need to do is click on the Snap&Read Universal extension for Chrome. It's going to take you to the Chrome store. You're going to have the same thing with Co-Writer Universal. Once you download it, you're going to have access to both Co-Writer and Snap&Read. You're going to get stuck at one spot, and I don't know if you remember this, when I signed into my Chrome browser app, But again, you can use Co-Writer on your iOS, your Mac, your Windows, your extension. What will happen is you will get stuck at a place where it's going to ask you for a username and password, go all the way down to bottom, and Kent is going to give those to you. Oh, here it is, right here. And then you'll have full access to it. You'll actually also have access to the educator dashboard. You know, this is where we hold the ability to get to different places or have access to it anywhere because it is web-based. So all you need to do, again, when you get to educatordashboard.com, you will run across that same username and password, and that's where you put it in. So great, that's right, Ken. Thanks, I forgot about that.
So that's just for the educators, right? Where I purchased a couple codes from you for the teams to try, but the difference is, from what I understand from the training, was that the codes that I have would allow them to issue that to a student and then track their data. Is that correct? Do you understand what I mean?
So I think I am understanding your question. So the code that Ken just gave you with the password, that's really just for you yourselves to try, get a feel, get comfortable with Co-Writer Universal and Snap&Read Universal. You know, hang out in Educator Dashboard. Kent does have some seats available, and Kent, it's my understanding that those were just going to be ones that teachers could try with students. Their district would actually have to purchase and own a seat for a student to have to collect data.
Even
so the seats,
trial, even for a trial, can they use the codes I have for trialing a student?
You could use the code for trialing, but I don't think you do not want to have those seats that you've purchased assigned to a student, because we're really all about privacy, and that privacy is also protecting you. So you do not want to see you at the home office. You do not want to see students' data. So that's why a district would have to purchase it for them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So we could set up, you know, those seats you have. We could absolutely, you know, we can walk through how to set it up for, you know, your teams to use to try with students. But then once it's successful, and students should use Co-Writer or Snap&Read, and then we can talk about how that district would need to get a seat or that license for those students so that they can collect data.
Okay.
Great question.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, great. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me, and I look forward to talking with you all soon. Kent, I'll send you an email with shortcuts and links to everything that we talked about if you want to forward it on to everybody.
Okay.
That'll have all my contact information, and feel free to reach out with other questions, because, you know, we all know as soon as I hang up and disconnect, you're going to have a question.
Yep.
Right? Perfect.
Okay, that'll be
all
good.
right, have a wonderful day. Be safe out there. Stay warm.
Okay. Thank you, Beth, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.